So we talked about your grandparents and where they're from and everything. Let's talk about your parents now. Do you remember like how they met or any of their background?
Yeah, well, my grandfather's house, there were three daughters altogether,
Okay.
and one was Aunt Marion, Aunt Doris, and of course my mother, and my father. I'm not sure really how they met, but they did somewhere along the line, and rather than get married in a church, they decided to elope, which is rather unusual.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good.
So
we have a lot of,
they did elope,
moving stuff to do.
and
We have to move like.
not sure exactly where they
take down all like the cubicles.
moved at that particular
and
time.
Stack them up, put
It
them
probably
in
was in
trucks,
Northampton somewhere.
Whoever will take them, and then
And,
we get like something else, or we get to
And
put
then
them
my
in, put them in,
father
set them
got
up,
this
and
job
take them
down in
off.
Garfield, New Jersey with
Yeah.
my uncle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do.
That was much that I can tell you on that.
So okay, so you moved, and how many siblings did you have?
We had actually I had a daughter, but she passed away. I think I'm not sure whether she was stillborn, but she didn't make it.
So she would have been older or
She
younger
would have
than
been
you?
older.
Okay.
She was the firstborn, but she didn't make it. And
Are you still on that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me.
and my brother was born 10 years after I was, so there was 10 years difference, and his name was Roger.
Mm-hmm.
And he is now living in New York. So he said, I'm 81 and he's 71.
I didn't know you had a brother.
Yep, yeah. Roger, yep.
What can you remember about like your best friends from when you were a kid or
In
growing
school.
up?
Oh yeah, well I had a lot of friends. Originally we lived on Brook Avenue. We always lived on Brook Avenue in Passaic, New Jersey. But we started out at 155, which is down towards the Passaic River. And then my dad had a chance to purchase this house at 259 Brook Avenue, which is up the hill. And that's where most of my memories come from. But I did have some friends, I remember down at 155. One of them, in fact, I kept in touch with quite a while, and he was killed in the service.
What was his name?
Lumley. Charles Lumley. Nice guy. He was really my best friend because he was only a couple doors up.
Mm-hmm. Did you go into the service together or?
No. We went in separately. I think he was killed in the army. And just before the war ended, he was killed, which is unfortunate. Well, some of my close friends that I grew up with lived right near me, which is normal. One of the fellows, Charlie Davis, lived on a street which was at right angles to Brook Avenue, and we always played football together down there. It was a big open field, I remember.
Just touch, or did you guys play high school football
yeah.
or anything?
But hard touch.
Okay.
I mean hard touch.
Okay.
It wasn't just tag here,
Yeah.
nothing like that. And there was a fellow named Molnar down there too that played with me. And we always had a good time. And the thing I remember most about that area was at Christmas time, right after Christmas, we'd take all our Christmas trees together, get them from all the neighbors, and make a big bonfire.
Oh,
in
excellent.
those days, you were allowed to make a fire, and of course I don't know whether we were allowed to make that big a bonfire, but we did. Today, of course, you're not supposed to burn anything,
Yeah.
which is a good idea.
Yeah.
But I remember that
Very nice.
that every Christmas we always used to have a lot of fun setting the bonfire going. Those are my recollections of school. I had another gentleman that
Oh,
went
yeah,
in the
right.
Navy with me,
Yeah, yeah.
the Polish or Slavic last name, Danny Kowalczyk. And his father had
Here's a
a tavern
quiz show you
in
can take for yourself, trivia show
in
about me.
Passaic.
I only knew a few of them. Don't
on
look
the
at the
east
answers
side.
till you guess.
Oh, okay.
And
You haven't read all
we used to
that,
go in
I'm
there
sure.
quite a bit. We just had a lot of fun together.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in the Navy too, about the same time I did. And I don't think, let's see, I'm trying to think whether we didn't really go in together. We signed up together, but he somehow got transferred to another area. I don't know why, but I was sent to Sampson, New York for my boot training. And
I need it, you have to just push it down.
that's what happened after
The other way, I
the
think.
train trip I was telling you about.
You push it down.
And I spent
There it is.
Let's
Have
see.
it. Okay.
10 weeks at boot camp. And we used to have what they call running the grinder. Ryan would have been good at this. We had what they call a grinder.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
No. Well, it's actually an oval area, which is at blacktop,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to run around that about 4 or 5 times. It was a big oval too. And by the time we were finished, I'll never forget. I think I weighed maybe 195 pounds at the time. When I came back, I was 150. So,
Just from running or just from
running
everything? Yeah,
running and
everything.
exercise
Yeah.
and everything else that they gave
Sure.
you, which was great. Except that when I came back from boot camp, we came into Grand Central Station, and my folks met me at the train, and they looked right at me and didn't even recognize me. They didn't know who it was. So I said, "It's me. I've lost a lot of weight." We didn't even recognize you. So, of course, in the uniform
Oh,
too,
this
you know.
one's Dr.
Yeah.
Seuss.
But that was funny. I remember that. We had those are pretty grueling times. They're nowhere near as tough as the Marine Corps training that they have today, or have had in the past. The
Mhm.
Marine Corps training was definitely the roughest. But when they say you're a Marine, you really are a Marine after you get out of that training. Ours is comparatively easy.
What are any memories you have of school growing up? Secondary school or post-secondary school?
Some school. We rode a bus that cost us 10 cents each morning. It was a local bus that serviced 2 or 3 towns, but went right in front of my door. Stopped in front of the door.
Now put 10 cents in perspective. How much did like a Coke cost?
Coke was 5 cents, I guess.
Okay.
Uh, 10 cents
I
was,
got these two. I don't know this one.
you had to make sure you had it to go, you know.
Yeah.
This was on a cereal box.
And
Oh.
my
How
dad
many
took the
ways
same
we
bus
got?
to go to work every day, but when he got down
The
to
answers are down here.
the center of Passaic, New Jersey,
I've never.
this
even
was on
heard
the
of it.
outskirts,
Hmm.
he had to walk, he didn't have to, but he wanted to walk from there to Garfield.
Fun stuff
That
Sure.
had to be at
about
least
my
a
life.
mile and
Sure.
a half, I
This is
guess.
something I wrote to
But
Janelle.
he would leave
so I
early
can
enough
know
so
all
that
about
he
it,
could
so.
walk actually to work.
Says her
And then he got a
father
ride
is
with my
from
uncle
us.
home.
I don't know if you want to read it, it's
But
funny,
that's,
right?
that's what happened every morning. Used to watch for the bus, get
You'll
another
see
window
which
and watch
way
for the
we
bus.
made.
I'll never forget that. The bus came from Lyndhurst, New Jersey, and it actually ended in Passaic, and then went return trip the same way. But the bus stop was right near our house. So. And another fellow that was a very interesting name, English name. His name was David Wigglesworth. Very unusual name. And he and I were very, very good friends, and we used to go to school together. And rode the same bus and everything. And if if he wasn't there, I knew something was definitely wrong. 99% of the time he was there. So. And that was to go to Passaic High School.
Mm-hmm.
Grade school, I went to number 3 Franklin School. And we walked to that school because it was only about 6/10 of a mile. We used to come home for lunch, walk back, and then walk back again. I have to stop and think all those times that they would have had a school bus for that today, I think.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, probably.
in those days, we walked.
You'd probably be a closer school.
Yeah, it probably would have been, hopefully. And that's what I remember quite a bit. We had, up until the 8th grade, we went to number 3 school for primary school, and then 9th grade, we went to number 1 school, which was like right across the street from my aunt's house in Passaic. And we took a bus to go there too. So, and that's where I went to 9th grade and the other grades. So
Yeah.
went to high school. And I got out of high school and went into the Navy.
Now, how is school different then from how it is today?
Well, I'm not sure. I think there's more social programs today than there were in those days. Everything was black and white.
Mhm.
You know. Math was as it is today, except that there's no question about the fact that the kids today are getting more education at an earlier age than they did when I went. We watch a show called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Mm-hmm.
And these kids are really smart.
Yeah.
I mean, they picked up stuff that I wouldn't have picked up till I went to high school. But anyway.
And I'm sure one of the major differences is the discipline aspect.
Yes. Oh, discipline. Oh, there's no question about it. None of the schools stood for any of this baloney that is going on today. You know, they talk about Catholic schools getting slapped on the wrist with a ruler. Well, that of course couldn't happen today, I guess.
No.
Because you'd get
Yeah.
sued for that. But no, the discipline was it was ingrained with the fact that you went to school to learn, and
Mhm.
this was it. There's no right, left, straight ahead, focus, and be prepared to learn.
Up to
We
the
didn't think
salaries?
twice about anything.
You never stepped out of line?
On page 2?
No, I never did.
Okay.
In fact, they put me on the
I think it's
police
funny.
crossing guards for 2 years. We had to achieve a certain discipline about that, I guess. I did that. And another thing I could tell you while I was going to school there, the school was right next to a Jewish synagogue, because in this area where the Jewish population was very, very prevalent. And I think it's another reason that we got a halfway decent education, because the Jewish people don't stand for anything like that. They're really good about staying alert and again focused. But we had our gym inside that synagogue, and that's where we had an hour of gym every day. We also had an hour of shop and shop and mechanics, mechanical drawing, things like that. I'm not even sure they have that today, maybe.
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah. And the girls, of course, would have the cooking and sewing and all that kind of thing. But it was a good learning experience. Yeah, I was very happy with it. But we used to play kickball, put the volleyball on
Mhm.
the ground, and you kick the ball as hard as you could. This is inside the gym, and you have to run around the bases.
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever got the ball had to try to throw it home to get you. But a lot of times, if the ball hit you, you were out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And one time I tripped over somebody's foot over tea cutting, and I still have the scar to prove it where I hit the radiator,
Oh.
which was not good. And I had to go to the nurse's office right away. And they stitched me up right there. The nurse stitched me up. And the principal came in and she said, "Didn't that hurt?" I said, "Yeah, it hurt, so it's kind of numb." She said, "I think you're very brave." I said, "No, just." I'll never forget that, though. It was funny. And that was growing up in that school.
No, high school. Were there any high school sports or anything?
Yes,
No,
I
that
played
business was an
freshman
important thing in our
football
family.
for 1 year, and then I got out of it because I really wasn't that good.
What position did they have you at?
Right tackle. And we didn't have and of course, in those days, you played the whole game. You didn't have offense and defense. No such thing as that. You just played the whole game.
Yeah.
You know. And they just took the best guys at the, so I'll never forget that. And our principal opponent was Garfield, where my dad worked. And they were called the Boilermakers. And our team was the Indians, Passaic Indians. Well, that was a big rivalry every year, just like we have Derby and Shelton, and you had your school up there. That was basically it. That was really the only sports I think that I had in school. Nothing spectacular. My education was rather limited, I'm afraid. But we did the best we could.
Well, yeah, I bet that was probably the case with most people at that time.
Right.
So after school, you went into the Navy. Talk about all the different places or like foreign countries or anything that you've ever been.
Well, after boot camp, or at the end of boot camp, they had a chief petty officer come around and he was extolling the virtues of the submarine service. And I said, "I wonder if I could make that. And give it a try." And so I took the test, and I made it. And I said, "Well, you made it this far, but that doesn't mean you're going to go." So I had to talk to a psychologist, and they wanted to know, ask you all kinds of questions about how you socialized and whether you were afraid of this or afraid of that. And I passed that test also. And they said, "Well, you'll be leaving for boot camp in a week." So 1 week later, I hadn't even been home. I'd just stay at the base and wait. So we all went on the train, back to Grand Central, all the way from Grand Central up to New London, Connecticut, which is where the training base is even today, which they attempted to close and never did, fortunately. But all the submarine training is still taken up there. Even the officers' training for submarine is done there. And that was 10 weeks also. And we had a chief petty officer there called Spritz. Jim, I think was his first name, Spritz. We just know him as Spritz, and we called it, when you get under him, it's Spritz's Navy, because he was a bugger. If you did anything out of line there, you were out. So you remember, just do what he told you, everything he said to do, just do it. Don't question it, whether you thought it was right or wrong. We found out most of the time that he was right. And we had a compression chamber which you had to go into. That's the first thing. Spritz told us that, just because you got down here, it doesn't mean you're going to go through. So, well, we had already lost 60% of the people that came down from boot camp. We lost them right away. So we went into the compression chamber, and that's how they build up pressure to find out whether you can take the pressure. on the
Okay.
wheel.
Gotcha.
And your ears popping, you have to keep going. And any time you thought you couldn't take it, like your head was going to burst open, you had to raise your hand, and they had to get that particular person out. And we lost a few that way. But I was glad that I could make that.
Do you need water? You want a glass of water?
Oh, no, that's okay.
Okay.
That's all right. And 2 days later, we went to the escape tower. The escape tower is 150 feet of tube, which is filled with water. And you had to make an escape at certain levels. The first one was 50 feet, then you did 100 feet, and then 150 feet. And you went up with what they call a Momsen lung. Momsen lung was the first air-breathing device that the submarines had. I better get a little water.
I'll get it. Stay put.
I have a glass there on the right-hand side, it's okay.
How come you got up so early today?
I don't know.
They didn't want to start a new
We,
job?
yeah, I think we just finished all of our work early, so they said, hey, you can start the next part tomorrow.
So you don't make quite as much, but that's all right.
And we usually leave around 4, so it was like an hour earlier.
Then you have to wait for your dad, right?
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Usually, yeah. He usually tries to get out.
I stole your little table.
That's okay, that's right.
Is that good?
Yeah, put it here for now.
All right.
So you have a better
I'm just
job.
gonna turn up the air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
Getting a little close in here.
Sure.
Oh, it's outside.